What's up, motherfuckers? Yeah, I'm here, Holy Mama back, to give you all another review of a movie that I've seen months ago. But since, I didn't have a YouTube channel back then, I would like to get my thoughts on what is right now my favorite summer movie of the year. And if you guys seen maybe some of my reviews in the past, you probably get the idea. But now I'm going to tell you, it is Mad Max Fury Road. And where I would start off with this movie is, my god, this was a pretty badass summer blockbuster action movie. Like, it really deserves to be one of the best. It deserves to be up there with, like, the Terminators, the Indiana Joneses, the Dark Knights of the world. It was that good of an action movie. And where I can give it the biggest praise is the director, George Miller. My god, this guy, a lot of people have said this, but he's hitting those 70-year-old milestones, but it doesn't look like it. That guy, him and people like Martin Scorsese look like they're still young when it comes to directing. My god, this guy, he didn't take no restrictions. He went all out. He was unchained for this. He had the balls to do stuff that directors can't do nowadays, and he took it to its full potential. This movie was like full on testosterone, like craziness. It was on steroids. Warning, if you get dizzy quickly or shake, you might look away from the camera. But watching the movie felt like I was just like this for 2 hours. I was like, holy crap. I couldn't stop. I was like, once I came out of the theater, I was like, whoa, that was a crazy ride. And it felt like an amusement park ride for 2 hours. This reminded me why I love movies, because you get entertained in ways that you just can't describe. And that movie reminded it for me. I was just blown away. I was like, wow. I was like, bravo, bravo. And what also was what also the movie could stand on its own and separate itself from a lot of current day action movies was you cared for the actors behind these characters. You cared for Tom Hardy, you cared for Charlize Theron, even Nicholas Hoult. His character I had a lot of sympathy for. But let's start with Tom Hardy, who is supposedly our main character. He, for a lot of the time, was not, the one on top. He had to fight his way to, prove that he is just as crazy as all these people he had to deal with. He, for the most time, was like, he had to overcome stuff. He wasn't just like this superhero who, was indestructible. No. He had to fight his way through. And I'm glad that he was like that, because a lot of action movies miss those types of characters where whoever we follow, we are supposed to root for, care for. We should understand that he's more than just this, indestructible person who we are supposed to follow their journey in these movies. We are supposed to think, he's normal, just like anybody else. Where that's the best characters we can relate to from action movies. And he did a good, terrific job, Tom Hardy. I liked how, he had his Tom Hardy-isms where he barely talked, but it worked for the movie. But when he got down and dirty, he knew how to fight. It was awesome. And God, I'm so glad this movie did not have any shaky cam. The direction for the action sequences was awesome. I was like, yes, finally, this is the type of action movie I've been looking for years. Probably since The Dark Knight. I don't know, but I am glad that this movie came out. And then Charlize Theron, my god, what a badass chick, finally. Probably the only other person I can think of that was so badass before I saw Mad Max was Emily Blunt, Edge of Tomorrow. But we need more characters like this. Female characters that can be a good companion with the male characters and kick ass. Those are the best. We need to utilize more of these. Studios need to know that female characters can be just as badass as the male ones. Whether they make their own movies and they can carry them, or they're in, movies like Edge of Tomorrow with opposite of Tom Cruise, or Mad Max opposite of Tom Hardy. This was perfect. This was like, this is when you tie two people up, as like the perfect marriage. And then, like I said, Nicholas Hoult, with those types of characters, you know, we never really know too much about them. But in this one, we got like a glimpse of how they are, and it made you realize more that, yeah, wow, there's more carrying in this movie. There's layers to the story, and I'm glad that even though it was an action movie, it had heart, it had care for all these people, the ones that we were supposed to go along the ride with, and I appreciated that a lot. I actually felt like, you know, a lot of video game movies suck nowadays. There hasn't been a good one since the first Mortal Kombat, and that's not saying a lot. I felt like this was like an unofficial Twisted Metal game or something. This felt like also like the best video game to come out. I don't know, it's just like, you know, the story of how we had to get it to point A to point B and kind of go back. I kind of feel like a little bit like a video game, but that's not saying it's anything bad. It's pretty good. And even though, you know, supposedly the plot is not a lot, but for this movie, you don't need too much for a plot. What they gave us was good enough, and I love that. Okay, if you're gonna give us very little for a movie, make it count. And I appreciate that George Miller and everybody tried to give us the best experience they could with what they have. That was fine. I did not care. And before I finish up this review, just want to see if I forget anything. The characters were awesome. The direction was amazing. The story was sufficient for what we had. I loved it. Didn't really have any problems. You know, the parts where people say might have dragged a little bit, like fusing, we needed that to get a little break and then to kick off again and start going into our crazy journey. This movie, it embraced all the ballsiness it had, and not a lot of movies lately have come out that could say that we're like Mad Max. This movie is special, and it's honestly my grade for this movie, if you couldn't tell, but it should be obvious, is an A+. It deserves it. If you've seen it in the movie, thank goodness. This movie deserved all your money. I can't wait to pick it up on Blu-ray. I definitely love this movie. I thought, you know, seeing how it was the fourth one in like 30 years, it might have been like, you know, just an meh reboot, like, of a film that it wasn't gonna be that great, but boy was I wrong, and I'm glad I was wrong. And I'm glad to know that there are movies still out there that can be made like this. So that is it for my review, guys. What do you guys think of it? You can let me know in the comments. And again, thank you for caring, thank you for sharing, thank you for daring to be yourself. Have a good day. Bye-bye.